Right guys, Mark Crossfield here. Today in my hands I am hitting TaylorMade's M1 Driver. So we're talking about a new driver from TaylorMade, lots of sliding weights, changeability, M1, multi-material. Let's get stuck in. Right guys, TaylorMade's M1 Driver. So we're getting two sliding rails now on their T system, I think they're calling it. So I can move this red one here back to front. That's going to move the center of gravity of the club forward or back, which should have effects on the spin model. So it'll give you a different flight through different spins. Not particularly in height. You would use the neck sleeve there to try and manipulate launch, because that's moving the loft around, as well as the face setting for directional. But this weight here is going to allow you to maybe take a few revs of spin off or add revs of spin, subject to what you need to do to get your optimum launch. So it's really about dialing in with this one. So I've got it back, and I've also tested with it forwards as well. Forwards is going to create lower spin in theory. You've also got this other weight, which I've got set, basically the two of them lined up right behind where I want to hit the ball. And that one moves from heel to toe. Now they put fade and draw on it, but that's the marketers asking for that. This club isn't going to turn your fade or slice into a draw or vice versa. What that's going to do is maybe move that kind of effective sweet spot on the face a tiny bit, hopefully to allow a fitter to dial in a bit more to your strike pattern. So if I was hitting everything out the heel, so a few millimeters towards the next side of the club, I might move that weight to try and align where the sweet spot could be in relationship to where I'm striking. It's really fine tuning though, rather than fixing. Putting it down by the ball looks fantastic. We get this composite head. Composite crowns have been around for years. Callaway have obviously made them for a long time. TaylorMade are very proud with theirs. They say they've been making composite crowns for years. They've just perfected it in M1. What company doesn't perfect it at the point of their own launch is an interesting one. It's got black with this kind of weaved graphite appearance on the top to the white with that little kind of indent pattern on there. Does look fantastic. This is the 460 head, comes in a 430 as well. So the white to the black face looks nice with that kind of missing bit replaced by the crown on the top here. Does look very good. Now where they're saving weight on the top here, they're saying they're giving you the best of both worlds in kind of custom fitting with these two sliding weights, which is quite a clever design and quite unique. Sits very square down by the ball in the setting I've got it in. Let's give it a hit, see what it feels like. It presents nice and big down by the ball. It does look very friendly, which is in the 460 head, which is a good thing. Okay, I mean, that's a very interesting sound. That's louder than I would expect this kind of driver to make. So often when the composite crown is in there, they make a kind of duller sound, and that still makes a bit of a kind of whack off the face of TaylorMade kind of big sound, because TaylorMade like to make big sounds, don't they? They're not afraid of the old big sound. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not expecting that noise. I don't dislike it. I don't mind that at all. I actually quite like it, to be honest, but it's just a surprising sound for that style head. I'm going to give it one more hit, and then we're going to show you some data. I've hit some shots with the weight forward and back, and I've done testing on heel and toe in other videos to show you what it does, and I'll do some more with this as well to hopefully show you guys and girls what it's about. Don't be afraid to check out my live. I've got AGG Live, my new show, where we talked M1 for a good half an hour and taking questions, and got the company's responses as well, which is a good show to check out if you want more info on this club also. Let's give it one more hit, and then we'll check out some of the data. I mean, that's feeling and looking and sounding, and the ball flight, it's everywhere where I would want it to be. I mean, TaylorMade don't make bad drivers, do they? You know, they make pretty good clubs. It's a fine tune. They're going to say the world's move, but it's a fine tune really, and I think it'll be interesting. Let's test these weights a little bit to see actually what they're doing. Right, let's look at the numbers here then for M1. So I started with the CG low and forward. So I started with the weight forwards in the club, and I was carrying it 261. Has there been a driver in the last 6 years or 7 years that I haven't carried 261? I'm not sure when everyone's going to get that. 261, so that's where I carry my driver as a general rule, and that is going straight in there. Spinning at 2-1, so a nice medium to lowish spin, which I like. Launching at 13 degrees, peak launch was at 14. peaking height at 32 yards. They're good numbers. That's falling exactly to where I'd want a driver to go. That's with the CG low and forward. So in effect, I moved the CG all the way back for the second part of the testing. And what happened is I carried it 262. So with the CG back, I have 1 yard's difference in the carry, which is the same. Strike is going to be equating for that more than anything else. But interestingly enough, on my test, when I had the weight back, I averaged 2,000 revs. It's because I got one down at 1.7, because I got a strike slightly higher on the face down at the 1.7 spin mark, going out there at 268. So when I get that low spinning number, which I know on any of the drivers I've hit, and SLDR did it for me, 268, when I get that low spinning number. But that's with the CG back, which was quite confusing. It just shows you how little that weight is actually doing, because they're limited on what they can do, obviously, because of the rules around these clubs. And my strike is dictating that more than anything else. But to be honest with you, very good numbers. I think the adjustability gives all the brands, TaylorMade and all of them, a really big story for them to talk about. Gives them lots of marketing kind of ammo. This club is not going to dial you in per se. You're going to have to dial yourself in to a certain degree. But when you get down to the fine tuning, it might just do a few things. Other brands have 3 clubs out there in their range that will do the same. It's quite clever that TaylorMade have one in lots of ways, so certainly for the fitter, one head, and they can move it around to try and get you fitted into the right club. I think the main point from any of this is that you go and try it yourself and see how you get on with it. I mean, the biggest problem with R15 SLDR was that weight low and forward. Yes, it gave it a lower spinning ball flight model, which gave me extra distance at the start, but when I looked at my average distance, and I've said this before in other videos, it actually wasn't any further because my hits went so much shorter. M1 in effect is giving us SLDR if we want it, but also a jet speed almost, or a what's the other one, the burner one, the aero burner. So it's giving you kind of almost the best of both worlds to a certain degree. Good driver, looks fantastic as always. You go and try it, post comments and let me know what you think of TaylorMade's M1 Driver. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more videos. Find me on Instagram at Crossfield Mark, also on Twitter at 4golfonline. Find me on Facebook, Mark Crossfield. Thanks for watching. Post comments as always, and see you soon.